TR90 launch, and that was a record. That was a all-time record for any one day of sales in North America, and it was the biggest month we've ever had in North America. So that was a record. It was fantastic. It turned out great. We had record levels of executive creation, more than 1,000 executives in September alone. So you start thinking about that. Testing. Okay, there we go. All right there. So we had record levels of executive creation, over 1,000 new executives in September alone. That was the way we designed it. We wanted to make sure that we would have record levels. Gosh, Mike, that might be a little much, huh? A little bit. Yeah, we'll get it right. Don't worry. By the time the meeting starts tonight, we'll have it right. Right? Okay. So, yeah, what is that? It's kind of like I'm like on like karaoke mode. What do you got? Vibration going over there?
I'm trying to turn it off.
Was it not right starting out?
Yeah, it wasn't right.
Anyway, yeah, it's really weird to have that echo. I don't know why that would echo. Weird. So when we designed the cycles to try to put together the LTO and the 6-month cycles, we wanted to see if we could cause executive creation to happen. And that actually did happen. So we had more than 1,000 executives in September. That's more than double the normal monthly rate of executive creation that we've been having prior to that time. So it worked, right? And why did it work? Why did it work? Why did we get that result? One word. Codes. They wanted to get codes. So they pushed like crazy by the end of September last year, by September 30th, everybody trying to become executives so they could get codes, right? So they could participate in the LTO. That's why they did. And so we had this big result, and that's what we wanted. The global launch of TR90, if you listen to the analyst, the earnings call on Monday with Truman Hunt and Rich Wood, when they talked to all the analysts and so forth, Truman said on that call that we did a record $560 million globally with TR90. $560 million, more than $500 million on that launch. So that is by far the biggest product launch ever in network marketing history. Nothing's ever been that big in any place in the company. So that was a big deal. V1, everybody knows what V1 is? Velocity 1. We have Velocity 1 and Velocity 2. And you may not have heard this yet, but about 3 months ago, the management decided they were going to change this whole LTO process, and they were going to launch a major new product every year now, instead of every other year. If you remember Joe Chang's slides from about a year ago, his slide had 2013 was Gamma, 2015 was like Alpha, 2017 was Kappa, 2019 was something else, right? They were every other year. And what they decided to do now is to do them every single year. So in 2015, they had 2 products lined up. They had a skincare and a nutrition lined up together, and that was Bespoke, and that was Alpha, right? And they decided to split those apart now. So you're going to get Bespoke in 15 and Alpha in 16, and then 17 and 18 and 19. And what will happen is the introduction of these new major product launches will always happen in October. So that'll always be V1, Velocity 1 for the product is October. V2 is always going to be the next April. And then 6 months after that, that product goes on free sell. So in the case of TR90, we got the first crack at it. V1 was October 15th. V2 is April 23rd. And it will go on regular free sell in October of this year, when you can buy whatever parts you want, whatever pieces you want, right? And that'll always be the pattern or the cycle going forward in terms of product launch. So V1 was a game changer for North America. And why was it a game changer? Okay, here's one reason why. I'll give you 2 reasons. 2 reasons why V2 will happen faster than V1 happened. Number 1 reason is that they're, in the U.S., this is the oldest market in the world for Nu Skin. We've been here 30 years in this country. And there's about 100 blue diamonds that are pretty much retired, that don't really do anything. I've got a whole bunch of them in my group. And they just kind of collect their checks and live their lifestyles, and that's their prerogative. That's why they work hard, so they could do that, right? And all of us from that vintage, and I put myself in that early vintage, I'm an old dog, okay? We have this attitude. When Nu Skin started talking about these LTOs, we thought it was kind of a gimmick. At least I can say I did, and I remember telling Scott Schwartz, so that's like retarded, you know? If you're going to launch a product, just launch it. Just give it to us. Why launch the product and pull it away, then launch the product and pull it away, and then launch it? Why are you doing that? And he just said, well, that's what they've been doing in Asia. It seems to be working well, and there's a method to the madness here. And so why don't you, get with the program? And I remember talking to many Blue Diamonds and Team Elites who felt like I did, and frankly, I got to tell you, there's probably 100 of them that didn't really do that much last October on V1. They just really kind of thought it's a gimmick, fine, they can do whatever they want to do, I'll buy it when it finally comes out. And so they didn't participate. But on October 15th, in 2 hours and 32 minutes, they became believers. They got religion on the LTO process. And so I think you're going to see a whole bunch more of them. I know you're going to see a whole bunch more of them participate on this next round. So that's one reason that I think it's going to happen quicker. Second reason is there's a lot of people that are engaged, that are new up-and-coming leaders, who did participate in the LTO in the best way they knew how, with the information they had. And a lot of them said, man, if I would have really understood what was going to happen, I would have done 2 or 3 times what I did last time. And so they're making new plans to make sure that they participate at a much higher level right now, and they're very serious about it. So there's going to be a little more competition this time. There's going to be more competition for the limited product supply. So that's why you got to be ready. You got to be on your game, right? So V2 happens on April 23rd, and that'll be $60 million. So they've raised our allocation 50%. We go from 40 million to 60 million, and that's because of our performance last time. And it will sell out. And I predict about an hour and a half. I think about 90 minutes it'll all be gone. Because people have now been through it once. They kind of know what to expect. They know how to place the orders, and they can train their people better, right? So the experience is already there. Some people made it happen. Some people watched it happen. And a whole bunch of people said, what happened? Like stunned, right? The rules to play in V2. You must be an executive by March 31st. If you're not, you can't play in the game. You don't get the codes, right? And so that's why we'll have record executive creation again at the end of this month. There's 25 days right now until this is over for this particular LTO in this cycle, right? So that's got to happen. If you are an executive by March 31st, you will be able to order TR90 at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 o'clock here in the morning, and that'll happen on the 23rd of April, right? And then you'll get 10 promotional codes on April 8th. How come April 8th? Because Nu Skin completes their global commission run on the 7th every month. So they know who's promoted, who the new executives are, and so forth. So they're going to wait until the 8th to send out the codes. And if you're a gold executive or higher, then you receive 20 codes. Okay? Same as last time. All right? For those of you that are new, how many are new? How many of you are here right now that did not participate in the last LTO? Raise your hands for me, okay? Okay, so there's a few of you. All right, so you're going to learn a whole bunch right now, this night. All right, so let's talk about the supply then. So we mentioned just a second ago, we've got $60 million of product that's available for all of North America. The commissionable sales volume, the points per package, are 1,150 points per package. If we take the CSB points and divide that into $60 million, then we come up with the total number of TR90 packages available for this particular launch. So that would end up being 52,174 packages that we're going to have that people can purchase. Last time we had about 38,000 packages, if you remember. That was V1. This time we got 52,000 packages. And just like last time, there will be a lot more demand than there is product available. That's why it's a limited time offer. It's not meant to satisfy all the demand that's out there for this product. We all know there's way more than 52,000 fat people in North America. So this is a product that you should use to build your business. Not just think you're going to go help fat people, right? Okay, as of the end of September, the end of the last cycle, when people had to qualify so they could play in B1, we ended up having 7,200 executives, September 30th. And the company projected that in the ensuing cycle, the 6 months between then and now, that they would have another 2,000 executives created. And it has actually been a little bit more than that. It's going to be closer to 10,000 total, right? So instead of 9,200, by the end of this month, we're looking at something around 10,000 executives. If they're all executives, they all get 10 codes, right, on April 8th. So that would end up being 92,000 codes that are chasing those 58,000 packages of TR90. But it's worse than that, isn't it? Because every code gets to buy 2 packages. So it's really like you got 184,000 opportunities chasing 52,000 packages. And last time we had about 150,000 chasing 38,000 packages. Well, not all those people are just executives. Some of these people are golds and up, so they get 20 codes, right? So I would just plan on around 200,000 potential purchases of those 52,000 packages. It's about a 4-to-1 ratio. And that's why it'll sell out, right? And that's why if you're really good at executing the LTO, you might get more than half your codes used. If you're really poor at executing the LTO, you won't even get maybe 20% of your codes used. Because you're just going to run out of product before people can use all their codes, right? That's by design. That's the way it's been planned, so that's okay. All right, so here's the rhythm. Everybody knows these 4 things happen every 6 months, right? Everybody's familiar with this? All right, so number 1, we have a success trip qualification period. How long is that? 6 months. Did everybody understand that? It's 6 months long, isn't it? Then we have maintenance. How long is that? 3 months, where you maintain those new executives if you're a Ruby, so you can then go on your success trip, right? And the trips always happen in August and February. August and February every time, right? And then you have a corporate event every 6 months, a convention or a leadership summit, and you have a system event every 6 months. Opposite of these, right? So every 3 months you've got a big event going on. Every 3 months, okay? And then you've got the limited time offer at the end of all this, and we're talking about that in this training, but I want to make a statement that I hope you really understand today. The LTO is not the business. The LTO is not the business. The LTO is the reward for doing the regular business you should be doing anyway. All right? How many days this year and last year will we get TR90? 2 days. So what are you going to do the other 363 days? Because there's only 2 days you can buy TR90. So what are you going to do the rest of the year, which is almost all the year? You're going to be selling the $365 packages, right? That's what you do. That's the regular duplication model. And it's imperative that you are doing that and you're teaching your people the regular packages with the regular presentations, one-on-ones, two-on-ones, business briefings of every kind, right? Webinars, anything you can do to be sponsoring, recruiting, building your business. That's the business that we're in, okay? The LTO is an aberration. It just becomes this big reward for the people who actually built their business for the previous 6 months, right? Okay, so we'll talk about that more as we get into this. We're going to show you a couple of the results from some of the other markets. And you'll see that one of the worst things you can do is make the LTO too big for your team. You're going to see that's the case. Because sometimes through the LTO process, we have a tendency to create accidental executives because they can create enough volume easily. And these people are completely ill-equipped to survive, and so they don't. And so we're going to talk about that as we go through it. All right? This is the cycle we are currently in right now, right? That started October 1st. That's when it started, and it will end on March 31st. We're sitting right here on the 6th of March, right now. We got 25 days till this cycle's finished, right? All of you new people that raised your hand a moment ago that you're here for the first time tonight, listen closely, okay? We are going to get you to executive status in the next 25 days. And if you get to the executive status in the next 25 days, you're going to be a Ruby in the next cycle. And you're going to earn the free trip. And we don't know where it is yet. But Scott Schwartz said a week ago in a meeting that we were doing together, he told this group of people, I will tell you the location in Dallas during the Leadership Summit. But he said, I can promise you it's a place that's warm, it's tropical, you'll need a passport, and it's not Mexico.
Woo.
So it'll be a nice place to be next February, won't it? Yeah, so you got to think about that. All right. So this is the deadline for executive creation right here. So if you can become a Ruby, anybody in the room who's a gold or a lapis or an executive, and you've got it in the works, so you can become a Ruby by the end of this month, okay? That's what you want to do if you want to go to Jackson Hole in August. And so then you would simply maintain those new executives April, May, and June. You would go into the trip in August to Jackson Hole, which is going to be an amazing trip. How many have been to Jackson Hole? I mean, do you like this place?
Yes.
It's beautiful, especially in August, right? That's where all the rich people go in this country in August. They escape the heat, they go to this gorgeous, drop-dead gorgeous place, the Teton Mountains and everything. And if you fly in there in August to the airport, I mean, it's just littered with private jets everywhere. That's where they all go, right? Even Air Force One goes there in August. So this is a place you want to go. And there's a rumor out there they're going to feed us dinner at 10,000 feet on the Tetons one night. But they got to helicopter all the food up there. I don't know if that'll happen or not. It's just a rumor, but it might. So it'll be fun, right? And then you get recognized in October as a new Ruby at the convention, right? So that's the whole cycle. Did you see how we started that? 6 months, maintain, take your trip, get recognized. Okay, that's a complete circle there. And every 6 months we have the chance to do it again, right? Every 6 months. Okay. All right, so let's go back and talk about what happened. And I want to show you how the way the cycles are built support you as a new Ruby having your executives maintain their executive status so you can go on your trip. And it's all been designed like this on purpose. So we had this great V1, this Velocity 1 launch on October 15th. We sold $40 million in 2.5 hours, right? All of these people that worked so hard to become executives by the end of September, they were brand new executives for October. And it's interesting, as we look back at the data now, most of those new executives that got their 10 codes did between 8 and 10,000 GSV. So we're talking 2 to 3 times the normal group sales volume numbers on the month of the LTO. I mean, all that volume had to go someplace, didn't it? And it went into these new executives groups. And so this was a really positive thing for most of these new executives. They were able to get 10 codes that they could use on October 15th, and they have a record first month as an executive. If you have a $10,000 group sales volume in your first month as an executive, you're going to get about a $2,000 check. When does that check show up? November 21st, the next month, right? So then they get this record bonus check in November. So October, they're already psyched. That month's taken care of. No problem maintaining those new executives then. The second month, they get this $2,000 check. And you know, when their check goes up, their confidence goes up. And the higher their check is, the faster their mouth goes. And they talk to a lot more people. They go, you can't believe this. I got in this company like 90 days ago. I went through this launch of this amazing product. They sent me a check for $2,000. This is a real deal. You know, you need to be listening, you know. Let's get you involved in this. So their recruiting activity will go up when they've had that kind of a result. And then we want to get them focused on the next success trip qualification. That's what I'll teach you next in this presentation. What is your job as a leader? Your job is to teach and educate these people that are new in your business that want to really make something of this, and teach them and show them what to do and how to do it. All right, so I'm going to show you that right now, and I hope you're taking notes as we go through this, because this is your responsibility. It's not your Upline Blue Diamond's responsibility, it's yours. Everybody who's new that's going to be an executive and is going to create other executives, this is your job. So, you know, pay attention as we go through this. If you did not do this, if you did not get people focused on this qualification, then you likely didn't get the kind of result you should have had from the last LTO. You probably had a nice increase for the month of October, and you probably went almost all the way back to where you were in September, in the month of November. Right? And that's not the result you want. That's a failure. So what you want to do is actually build executives through the process, right? I'll predict we will have record executive creation again by the end of this month. We will have record executive creation, okay? So that's going to take place. All right, let's talk about the next thing. So we did 40 million, now we got 60 million coming this time. And watch this next part now. That's the end of phase 1, okay? We'll show you phase 2 in just a minute. I want to talk about this. It's a different graphical way to look at what I'm trying to teach you. So when you are out there doing the regular business, you do the regular duplication model, you sell the $365 packages, people LOI with 3 of those packages. If they place another order, they get a 4th one free. That's what we're doing. That's how we're recruiting people that are serious about the business and want to become executives, right? We do that for 5 months in a row right here. This is the first part of this cycle. That's what this little line is right here. We're building and creating LOIs and executives right in here. If we don't do that, then we don't have a chance to have a very good LTO, right? We can't. Your success on the LTO day depends on the previous 5 months of work. So if you do it right, then you're going to get this spike here, you know, V1. You're going to spike up here. And if you do it appropriately and you've created executives, you're only going to come halfway down. You're not going to come all the way back down here. If you go do the spike and come all the way back down, that's a failure. Because you didn't create new executives through the process. Correct? That's the thing we're trying to do. How many of you have ever been through kind of the hour-and-a-half comp plan training that I do? Have you ever been through that before? I do this big, long training. I do it once in a while at Team Elite University. And in that training, I try to teach people why the comp plan works, how it works, because the comp plan is the roadmap. If you don't understand the compensation plan, you're never going to extract the money out of it. You've got to meet the requirements of the plan or you don't get the money. And when you meet the requirements of the plan, it's serious money. And so we try to teach people that. And there's one phrase that I repeat over and over again during that training. And that phrase is this: your job is to become an executive factory. That's your job. To learn how to manufacture executive groups, right? That's your whole business. Because your base of your business is based on the total number of executive groups you have in your 6 generations. That's the fact. That's all you have to do is learn how to fill up those 6 generations with executives, and you will make a lot of money. So that's why 25 years ago, we created something called a duplication model. We created these packages. Instead of just all this loose product that everybody could go buy, and instead of just going to a new person and saying, well, what do you want to order? Just order whatever you want, you know? Just start, just use the product. Maybe someday you'll have enough volume to LOI. Maybe someday you'll be an executive. Instead of that loosey-goosey, like free-floating, no plan, no focus, we changed all that. And we formed product packages. And we put kits together that equaled 1,000 points so that people could just buy it and have their LOI filed right now. This was designed for business builders, right? We called it a business in a box. And so that's why we put that together, so people could have a systematic way to become an LOI and become an executive and then move forward in the compensation plan, right? And all of that, ladies and gentlemen, centers around executive creation. Okay, you will never make any money in this company unless you are building executives. You have to learn how to do that. Why is now the best time ever to be involved in Nu Skin? Because now we have additional incentives to get people to executive status. And now we have these 6-month time frames that have a deadline on them every 6 months, right? And at the end of that deadline, there's a big reward. In fact, there's a big financial reward, and there's a big trip reward. Okay? You got that? 2 major serious rewards at the end of that 6-month cycle. And so here's what the deal is, all right? What you want to do now is just utilize these 6-month cycles. Because of those deadlines, you have the ability to create executives faster than ever and do more of them than ever before. And people are doing this, and that's why the company is accelerating right now, because it's become better. It's more refined. The plan is being executed much better by a lot more people. Okay, So you go out, you work, you do the regular process, the regular duplication model. You get a spike, hopefully you come only halfway down. So on the spike, here's what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to do about 3 times normal GSV. We've seen now through some of these other LTOs, people sometimes do 6, 8, 10 times their normal volume, and it blows up. It blows up because they're able to buy too much. And then it's harder to sell the product than they thought. They were thinking they would just buy all this product, people weren't going to have it, and they could just go sell it, okay? So there ends up being a whole bunch of returns. People send product back to the company, and then they take the hit on their check the next month in November. So it's even worse in November. It's like a real downer for people, right? It didn't work at all the way it was intended to work, and so that becomes a real problem, okay? All right, so that's the situation when you have a spike, and you just don't want to come all the way back down. If you have successfully built new executives, that'll be a new base of volume of all those groups that can do 3,000 a month. Correct? Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's the intention, is executive creation leading up to the actual LTO. The LTO's a reward. It's 3 times. If I have a new executive who does 10,000 GSV, that's enough to show them the promotional power of an LTO. It's enough to put a nice $2,000 check in their pocket. It's enough to get their mouth running with confidence, right? And all of a sudden it's enough that people are actually consuming that product. It's not being returned. So in Europe, a year and a half ago, they did an LTO with R². And in Europe, they had no requirements to order. You didn't have to be an executive. You could be a person walking in off the street, and you could buy $50,000 of R² the next day. It was a disaster. This is where we saw, hey, this isn't good to have no governor, no controls, no throttle on this thing, right? People actually will go out and get hyped by some upline and buy too much. Ends up being a real negative to those people. And so that's where we've kind of learned this ratio of being 3 times, you know, the normal GSV. And that'll come up again here in just a minute. And you'll see why we're saying to do things the way we do it. Okay, so that's that one. And then what you want to do is then you just go to work. And you just start building more executives. And you get another spike. And you come halfway down. And then you just go to work with a regular plan and build more executives and have another spike. And the long-term trend should look like this. It ought to be a constant upwardly sloping trend of executive creation, where you're piling up executives in your 6 generations. That's how it should look. And then you just keep doing that. Okay. These we're not going to spend a lot of time on because they're kind of obvious. If you have a great month and you're really working it, these are the things that happen. You get extra money, you get bonus pool money, you get fit executive money, and so forth, right? These 3 as well. You're always going to have a big push at the end of the cycle, right? On September 30th and March 31st. Every year, you're going to have big pushes. Why? Because people want codes so they can play in the LTO the next month. That's what they get out of it. Okay, and then you have record month, record LOIs, record bonus pool, and immediate focus on the next success trip cycle. Immediate. Okay. That was phase 1. When did phase 1 start? October 1st is when phase 1 started. If you were in the business then, it started for you October 1st. If you're here today for the first time, phase 1 starts for you today. And you got 25 days left in phase 1. Okay? All right. Phase 2 will end the day of the LTO on the 23rd of April. Okay? All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to show you what I do. And I kind of learned this on the last LTO. So I'm going to show you what I do. I recommend you consider doing this with your own teams. So on April 1st, I'm going to have a consultation with my new executives. I'm not going to wait until April 8th when Nu Skin sends them their codes. I don't got 8 days to waste, okay? These 23 days right here are like the craziest busy 23 days of your life. You thought they were busy in phase 1? Not even close, okay? Because now we've got this unique situation in place. What's the situation we have? Okay, let's say Linda's my new executive right here. I know she made it because I was in the trenches with her through all of March. We were talking, meeting with people, 2-on-1, 1-on-1, webinars, 3-way calls. We're doing the business. We're in the trenches doing the day-to-day work of the business. We're sponsoring people. We're selling product. We're doing the whole thing, right? I know she made it by March 31st at midnight, because I was on the phone with the company and her, and we're making sure she had all of her volume. I don't have to wait till the 8th for them to tell me she made it. We're going to have a consultation the first day of April. And the consultation is, you made it, Linda, and you've got codes. And people who start today or hear about New Skin today on April 1st can't get any codes until next September 30th when they're done as an executive, right? So you got something unique, something that's scarce, something that nobody else really has right now that's a brand new person. And so you ought to use your codes to your advantage. Don't just go give them away or place them with just people who want to lose weight. Okay? You can go do that all day long. There's way more than 52,000 fat people, right? That's not the point. What's our objective? If we're leaders, we're trying to create executives, aren't we? It's all about executive creation. So why wouldn't we take the codes that are scarce, that not everybody has, and use them as a motivator for people to commit to us, commit to Linda, that they'll be executives on her front line and they'll use that code to place their LOI. Okay? And so, Linda, it's April 1st. Let's make a plan, okay? Let's make an LOI, an executive creation plan. And what we're going to do, Linda, is we're going to find at least 4 really serious people in the next 2 weeks. People that are willing to LOI with the codes that you will give them from your 10 codes. And you're willing to give 4 codes, 1 each, to each one of these serious people on your front line. And we're going to lay the foundation for her to become a Ruby in the next cycle. And we're going to start it on April 1st, the day after she qualified as an executive. We're going to start this process, okay? So that's what we want to do. Those people that are new, I think right here, ma'am, I think you said you were new today, first time you raised your hand, right? Oh, it's on the first one, okay. Is there anybody here who's brand new today? We have 2 people right there, okay, maybe 3. Okay, anybody over here that's first time here today? No? Anybody? You are? Okay. You know, you people aren't really supposed to be here because it's kind of a leadership training, but we're glad you're here. Because if you got a good attitude, you didn't let people tell you you couldn't come. That's good. You're aggressive. We like that. Okay? All right, good. So you and you 2 back there, this is your plan. I'm going to show you your plan right now. You're here today for the first time. Okay? You guys are going to be executives by the end of this month. Both of you and you. You're going to be executives by the end of this month. Okay? And when you're an executive, your upline is going to sit down with you on April 1st, and they're going to make your plan so that you guys have your 4 serious people that will use part of your codes during the limited time offer, okay? All right, so number 2, on April 8th, I'm going to verify receipt of all of the promotional codes from New Skin to all my new executives. So I'm going to call Linda, and I'm going to say, did you get the email from New Skin with those 10 codes, right? She's going to go, yeah, I got it. The reason I verify is because it's a manual process. The company doesn't automatically just do this, right? So they do it twice a year. I want to make sure you didn't get looked over. I want to make sure that, you know, you weren't missed. Okay, you actually got your codes. And then I say to Linda, forward me a copy of that email. Send me a copy of it. All right? And so why do I do that? I'm going to take every new executive I've got that I'm working with personally. I'm going to say I want a copy of your email. Why do I want their codes? So I can steal them and use them myself? No. No. So I can print off that page with her name on it, with her 10 codes, and any others I've got. I might have 3 I'm working with. I might have 4 I'm working with. I might have 2 I'm working with. And I'm going to print them and paste them on the wall in front of my desk where I make my calls every day. Or stick them on my desk where I can see them visually. Every day, I know what my task is now. What's my job as the upline starting April 1st in Phase 2? It's to make sure that we get names by every one of those codes. That's going to require us to go to work, to recruit, to call people, to present like crazy for the next 23 days, right? And so every day we're hoping, Linda and I are hoping we can put another name or 2 by those codes of people that commit to fully use the code, buy both packages during the LTO. Okay? So that's what we're trying to do. And if I've got 2 executives I'm working with, I'll have 20 names on both of those pages by the time we finish Phase 2. This is how we're going to ensure that the codes we worked so hard to get actually bring the benefit to her and to our organization, right? So this is what you got to do. I watched last time, so many people thought, oh good, but they made it. They made executive. Hey, have a good LTO, see ya. What? Just getting the codes doesn't mean they know what to do with them, right? So we've got to make sure we do that. We're going to make sure we have a copy of them. All right. On April 14th, we're going to confirm the assignments are all made. So I would like to have it done halfway through the month, where Linda's got 10 names by all her 10 codes, okay? And Gorio, right, has, you know, let's say he's another guy that I just made as a new executive. He's got 10 names by his codes, okay? Brand new executives, they're psyched, man. We got names by these codes. These guys are already counting their chickens. They can almost figure out how much volume they're going to do on the 23rd of April, right? They're pumped. Can you imagine the anticipation, the excitement if you really did have 10 serious names by all those codes? That would be pretty interesting, wouldn't it? Very exciting. And so that's what's going to happen. We're going to make sure they've got it done. In this process, during these first 14 days of getting these names written by those codes, those people are going to place some orders. But in the month of April, because we've got access to TR90, we're probably not going to sell them the $365 packages, right? We maybe get them to place an order for, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 products they want to try that they really love, okay, or may love. And then we're going to make sure we hold their volume for the 23rd of April. They're going to spend their money that month on TR90, and we're going to use the code to do it. That's when they're going to really get their LOI volume. All those names, okay? You guys with me? Have I confused you, or are you tracking with me? Okay, you're tracking with me. Good. April 15th. We're going to have a big old phone call. And the phone call is going to either be a call or a webinar where I've got Linda's 10 people with her codes and Gorio's 10 people with his codes. So I got 20 people, 22 people on this conference call. And if I've got 2 more executives, I'll probably have 40 people on this conference call. These are all their new people we've been talking to, working with, recruiting, placing a few orders, right? If they haven't done it yet, by the 15th, we want them to place an order in New Skin's system. And the reason we want to do that is on the 23rd, when time is of the essence, and we're under pressure to get the orders placed, we don't want to be fumbling around with their name and address and their credit card, you know, billing address and the credit card number and if the credit card clears or not. We don't want to be messing around with all that stuff, right? We want their information inside New Skin's ordering system so it simply auto-populates all that when they log in with their ID number. And then we can go quickly. Here's an interesting stat you probably haven't heard. The average order completion time last October 15th on that 2 hours and 32-minute program was about 12 minutes. That was the average. Some people took over a half an hour to complete their orders. Yeah, because their credit cards were declined, or they were fumbling through trying to figure out a credit card they thought would work, or they didn't have the right shipping address in or billing zip code. Yeah, so 12 minutes was about the average. Some people are control freaks. They are. And some people actually did it like this on October 15th. They went out there with their 10 codes, and they got as many codes, you know, ready to be placed and used as possible, and they told all those people, everybody, you send me your name, send me your credit card, send me your addresses, I'll do it all for you. Can you imagine sitting there with all that pressure, and it's like, okay, 12 minutes, I got one done, 24 minutes, 36 minutes, 48 minutes, 1 hour. I've only got half of them done. And the stress of that, yeah, so you don't want to do that, do you? No, you want to follow this plan so that you disperse that responsibility and everybody uses their own code in the first 12 minutes. Then you got them all used, right? Okay. All right, so that's what we want to do. And we know that if we have a valid credit card on April 15th, there's a really high likelihood that credit card will work on the 23rd. Because credit card companies don't usually expire a card in the middle of the month. Okay, so we want to make sure payment form is going to work. All right, and then on the 16th, the next day after that, we're going to have another webinar. This one's different. This one's to walk through the order screens for the actual LTO. So on One Team Global, about 2 days before this, we will put up the order screens, pictures of the order screens that you'll be able to download and use in your own webinars with your own teams, okay? So I've got Gorio and I've got Linda here. They're my 2 new executives. We've got 20 names by all their codes, you know, and so we're going to get all these people on the phone the next day, and on the webinar, I should say, and we're going to show them the screens. Here's why. the volume is so big in such a short time, Nu Skin's systems can't handle it. And so they hire Amazon services to run the LTO ordering for them. Amazon screens look different than Nu Skin ordering screens. So we don't want people to be confused or not familiar with what they're going to see under the pressure cooker, right? So what we do is we have a little webinar and we say, this is what the screen will look like when you're logged in, but you're in the waiting room. Okay, you're half hour early. You're in the waiting room. When they finally open up for sale at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, this is what it will look like. And you're going to be able to put in your ID number, right? And once you put in your ID number, then it's going to come up with this screen, which is where you put in your code. So you put in your code that I gave you, okay? And then you'll go to this screen where you order chocolate, vanilla, or green. And once you go to that screen and select it, you're going to go to this screen where you put in your payment information, or just validate your payment information. And then you're going to get a confirmation screen of your order with your order number. Make sure you print that, right? So it's a quick call. It may take 15 or 20 minutes. You answer a few questions, but now they're at least familiar with what they're going to see on that day. All right. And then what we do on the 22nd is I call Gorio and Linda and I say to them, are we still green lights on all your 10 names? Have you talked to all your people? Everybody's ready to go tomorrow, right? They got their credit card ready, everything's ready, right? And Linda goes one step further. She goes, hey, I got to handle, man. I'm having an LTO party at my house. Everybody's coming over to my place. So she's got her Wi-Fi fired up, and everybody's bringing their iPads and laptops, and they're going to make sure they order. And you have this big old party. And a lot of people did this. I would recommend you do it for anybody who's local that can come over that day, right? And so you have a big LTO ordering party. Everybody's high-fiving when they get their code done. All right. We got it done. And then the day of, 2 hours before the deal goes down, I'm going to just be on the phone with Gorio and Linda, and I'm just making sure that everybody's awake. If you call them all, you know, they're not walking their dog, getting their nails done over at the gym, screwed up, forgot about it, whatever, okay? Make sure they're there at your house, or make sure they're going to be online, you know, at 9:30 Mountain Time, 8:30 Pacific, in the waiting room. You know, if you're in the waiting room early, you're going to be the first 1,000 that get into the room to order. So that's how it worked last time, and we're assuming it'll be the same this time. So now you may look at all these steps here and go, this guy's super insane. You know, he's anal, man. Yeah, well, you'll get that way too once you see how people screw up everything all the time, right? You're just going to make sure it's fail-safe, and then you make sure you get it done. Okay, so that would look like this. If you did what I just said, it would look like this. Okay, so here's Gorio and Linda. Okay, and so here's this gentleman right here. This is what your group's going to look like. And both of you back here, you brand new people, that's what your group's going to look like on April 23rd. Okay? So what you did is you gave this person a code. One code, they can buy 2 packages, right? Each package is how much? 1,150 in volume, right? So they have 2,300 in volume right here. You gave them one code, they committed to do the orders and LOI with that code. They got plenty of volume to LOI. And you did it right here, and you did it here, and you did it here. This was my job as the upline to these 2 new executives who just barely qualified by March 31st, right? My job as the upline was to help them focus on who those 4 people should be. This is their foundation for their Ruby status in the next cycle. Okay? And so I did that. And then what I did is, you know, maybe I've got some other distributors and customers. If we get to like probably the 18th of April, 5 days to go until launch, and we don't have very many other codes used, then of course go out and find people who just want to be customers, and we'll use them for 90 days and reshape their body. Of course you would do that. You don't want to just waste your code, right? So you're going to have some customers too. That's okay. That's fine. But just get your codes used as much as you can. All right. So ensure that these 4, they really do it right there. If we can get any of the other ones who want to do it, great. You know, if they want to use their codes, just make sure we get them used. And then the last thing is, if you did it completely, you would have 23,000 of GSV. Now that's a little higher than we like to see. That's more than 3 times normal GSV, right? So we'd rather really everybody be around here. How come most people will be around 10 or 11? Because it'll sell out. They're not going to get to use all their codes, right? And the people that are slackers, that don't even think about this stuff, that just bumble along through the LTO, they're going to get 1 or 2 codes used. And people that are really good are going to get a higher percentage of their codes used. And the average, is going to be probably around 6,000 to 8,000. Okay? All right. You thought you were done. Not even. You got phase 3. What's the best week of the month for Nu Skin? That's right. The last week of every month worldwide is incredible. Nu Skin does over 50% of their total monthly volume in the last week of every month. Yeah, because human beings are procrastinators. All of a sudden they go, wow, I better do my volume. So the last week everybody goes and gets busy. What if everybody was busy for 3 more weeks? Like the last week. Think of the business we would all have. So we got phase 3, and this will wrap up the execution of the LTO process, okay? So this starts on April 24th. What happens on April 24th? What happens? What happens? Say that loud. We're back to the regular duplication process. We're back to the $365 packages. There is no more TR90. This is the day after TR90, right? And so what we want to do is get serious. Now I'm going to back up just real quick and show you the question that I got asked 2 days ago by a Diamond executive who was in one of these trainings. The Diamond executive asked me this. He said, Nathan, you got plenty of codes. Instead of just giving this guy 1 code, if he's committed to LOI, why not give him 2 codes and just make him an executive? Why not? If he has 2 codes, he can buy 4 packages, he'll do 4,600 in volume, and he's an instant executive, and she's an instant Ruby at the LTO. Why would we do it? Okay. She's exactly right. This lady is saying it's not duplicatable over the next month. It's what we just said a moment ago. We don't want to end up with accidental executives through the LTO. Okay? You could do it if you wanted to, but I would not recommend that, and here's why. They've never made a phone call to recruit 1 person. They don't even know what it means to set their goals, define their contact list, invite people, handle objections and questions, learn how to do presentations, learn how to follow up and sign people up. If you don't take control of this right now, guys, on the 24th of April, even with those people who LOI'd, it was almost too easy to LOI. They just had to use a code, right? You got to take the bull by the horns on the 24th of April and say to that person, okay, you guys have LOI'd, you got enough volume to LOI. If you are serious, we will finish you off as executives this month, but we're going to do it through the regular process. So let's go out and continue our recruiting, right? Let's go out and continue working right now with all of your new people, and we're going to sell them the $365 packages. We're back to the regular process. And this is where you need to do it. You need to do it right now so you can teach those people what it really takes. Leading up to it, you've probably done a bunch, but it's all been kind of focused on TR90. Now you got to get them to focus on learning those 365 packages, right? Same recruiting effort, but now they're into the regular process. And the people who do this well have much more survivable executives in their teams. They don't go all the way back down. They come up and they go like halfway back down. And they build, right? Now, if I've done a good job getting these guys to focus on at least 4 serious people through the LTO, and we get those 4 serious people to executive status at the end of April, by the 30th of April, these people are now rubies. They're rubies at the end of April. All they got to do is maintain and they're going on the next trip. So, did you hear that? That's you, and that's you 2 back there, okay? You guys are brand new today. You become an executive by the end of March. You get 10 codes each, right? You go to work with your upline to make sure you place those codes appropriately like I've just described. And you really make sure you got 4 serious people out of those 10 codes, right? And then you do phase 3 and you finish them off as executives by the end of April, and you're going on the next trip. That's what you do. All right? So, number 1, I'm going to ensure that I'm going to ensure executive creation for all of the LOIs in April who did it with a code. They're now within striking distance of executive, and let's get them finished off through the regular duplication process. Number 2, I'm going to consult with each of those new executives. Brand new April 1st executives. That's, these 2 right here, okay? Or those 3 back there, okay? I'm going to consult with them, and I'm going to ask you some questions. After the LTO, my question to you is, how did you do? You know, you got maybe 40% of your codes used. What happened to the other 60%? You know, what would you do different? What did you learn through this process? Because I'm not just training you for this LTO, I'm training you for the next LTO, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one. I'm trying to duplicate, I'm trying to teach and embed that knowledge in your head. So you can go do this with your team next time, right? That's what I want to have happen. So we're going to review that while it's fresh on their mind. We're going to set new goals for all these new April 1st executives, okay, to make sure they complete Ruby qualification in the current cycle. If we don't get it done by the end of April, we're going to make sure we get it done by May or by June, so we're done. They're Rubies already, right? Can you see how this would accelerate your business if this was the attitude people had? Can you see how people can become Rubies in a 6-month cycle? Yeah, it definitely happens. All right, number 4. You're not just going to set the goal, you're going to devise a work plan to support their Ruby goal. So what does that mean, to devise the work plan? All right, so here's part of the job of being a leader. You need to make sure that you have a consultation at the first of the month with anybody in your personal group that is serious about doing this business. What does a consultation consist of? It consists of a review of the vital signs, right? What are the vital signs? How many people were contacted? How many presentations were made? How many people signed a distributor agreement? How many people LOI'd and how many people became executives that month in your team? Those are the vital signs, okay? So that's what you're going to check on. You're going to say, now, what did we plan to do last month? How did we do compared to those vital signs? And then do we make some course corrections this month going forward? We need to readjust some of those goals. Which ones are we having trouble with, right? And then we talk about what's going to be needed for you to end up having this business work for you. What's going to be needed from me as your upline? Okay, what days are you having the business briefing in your town or at your house? Or what day is it of the week? How many people are you bringing? When do we need one-on-ones and two-on-ones? When are we going to schedule webinars for you and your people? Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not holding these new people that are serious accountable to produce, to bring people to webinars, to bring them to these meetings, right? Then why do they have any reason to do anything? So you teach them the business by holding them accountable. And you're there helping them. And you know what? I tell my people this. If you're not monopolizing my time, believe me, I'm not waiting around for you twiddling my thumbs for my phone to ring so I can help you. I'm out there creating your competition. That's what I'm doing. I'm not sitting home wondering why you're not calling me. Okay? So you better utilize my time. Otherwise, I'm working in somebody else's organization. And that's your competition. So, you know, you have to just, you got to have this attitude that it's a business. It's not a joke here, you know. You got to run it like a business. And consultations are part of that. And making a work plan is a big piece of it. And if you're not doing core calls, every day a core call with your active key people, then go recruit some active key people and start doing a core call. And if you're not taking all of your executives and Lapises and Golds and having a Ruby call once a week that focuses them on understanding what they've got to do to be a Ruby and get on these trips, then you're not being a leader. You're not doing the things you need to do to actually build a team. You will create a culture inside your own business here. And nobody's going to say to you, okay, you're a leader. Okay? I don't stand up to Gorio and I knight him and go, bless you, my son, you're a leader. Okay? You got to step up and grab it. You just got to step up and take leadership. Nobody's going to give you leadership. And sometimes you're scared. And you go, I don't know if I can be a leader. Well, just start acting like one and you'll figure out how to do it. Okay? You're never going to know everything. You're never going to feel completely comfortable. Everybody here has got insecurities and fears and weaknesses and blind spots. That's part of the human condition. That's okay. That's all normal. But you decide to step up and take responsibility for your own success and your own team. And that's what you do to make it happen, right? Okay, number 5. You got 6 days left in the cycle. 6 days to set the path, the future path for your team going forward for this whole 6-month cycle. All right, so that's what you do, and you get serious about it. This is what it would look like if you did what I just said. Let's say you go out there and you get these people finished, right? 4 of them become executives on your front line by the end of April through the regular duplication process with the normal 365 kits, right? And all of a sudden, these guys are rubies. I mean, you're going to be out of your mind with excitement. You just got to maintain it now. Does the cycle help you maintain it? Sure it does, right? It helps you because you've got volume, you've got record checks, you've got people focused on the next cycle right now. Some of their new executives, these 4 people right here, some of these new executives could become rubies along with these guys in the next cycle. Why wait? You never wait. You never hold people back and go, no, this cycle it's my turn to be a ruby. You're going to be a ruby on the next cycle. What are you talking about? You never try to slow people down. You always try to go faster, right? Always try to go faster, okay? Now, some of these people that are customers down here are just casual distributors, okay? They just got it to like lose some weight. They wanted the body reshaped, and you gave them a code because they said they would use the code. I would only give the code to a customer if you say this to the customer, okay, I'm going to give you one of my codes. These things are in short supply, right? You got to promise me you're going to use the code. And if I'm going to just give it to you as a customer, you got to find a friend that wants to do it with you for 90 days. And every one of them's got a friend that wants to reshape their body, right? So they go get their friend, and they buy 2 kits, and they just go reshape, okay? I would call them still. Before the end of April, I'd probably call my customer and say, look, I know you just want to do this to reshape, okay? But you kind of got to understand there's a business with this whole thing, and you're halfway to the first leadership position by the volume you've already done, just getting on the program. Do you have any interest in learning more? It's worth a phone call, just to see where they're at, right? Okay. So, make sure you finish off these, especially these. That's your foundation. And if they don't get it all done that month, finish it the next month, right? Get these people to Ruby. That's going to create massive momentum inside your team. If everybody did it all, it'd be $43,000 and your check's $8,250. Okay? So, you're brand new today, and both of you that are brand new today, if you do half of that, you're going to get a $5,000 check. You guys that are brand new today, sitting here with 25 days to go in March, okay, you could have a $5,000 check at the end of April. You could have it. So think about what we just said, and think about executing that. Okay, I'm going to drive this point home before we finish this portion of the meeting, all right? So here we go. Everybody focus on me. Okay, don't listen to the child. Focus on me, okay? Right here. I raised a lot of kids, and I got a lot of grandkids, so I don't even hear them. Okay? Focus on me. You got to learn to focus. Even when there's distractions, you got to learn to focus. All right. So let's just count up the codes. I said earlier in this meeting, I made a statement that is absolutely true. I said that at the end of the cycle, whether it's March 31st or September 30th, you can absolutely calculate your maximum volume at the LTO. Is that true? It is absolutely true, because on the first day of the next month, right, the next day, the next cycle starts. And it's done. And whatever you got done, who was ever executives by the end of this deadline, will create they'll get the codes, and that creates your maximum volume at the LTO. So let's count it up. Let's say that we've got somebody in this room that's going to be a new Ruby by the end of this month. So here you are, new Ruby. You've got these 4 executives right here on the front line. So let's count the codes. How many codes right here? 10. How many here? 10. How many here? And how many here? 10. And how many here? 20. So we've got 10, 10, 10, 10, and 20. That's 60 codes. Is that right?
Yeah.
And how many packages does each code buy? 2. So we can buy 120 packages if our team looks like that. And the volume per package is 1150. So what's 120 times 1150? It's about 130,000 points you can generate. And if you do that, your check's going to be $7,000 to $8,000, right? Probably some bonus pool money. So you're going to be 7 to 8, maybe 9,000, if your group looks just like that. So we've got people that do it, and now they go out and they, become rubies themselves. Even by the end of April, they become rubies, right? We worked with those new executives. We got them there. If these people are rubies on the next cycle, I wanted to show you what happens in one cycle, what the difference can be. So we had 120 kits, or 60 codes, right here. Watch this. If they're a Ruby, we know they've got at least 60 codes here, right? And 60 codes here. And 60 codes here, and 60 codes here, and 60 codes here. How many codes is that? 300 codes on the next cycle. 300 codes, which can buy how many packages? 600 packages. And the volume's how much per package? 1150. So what are we talking about? About 700,000 points of volume. Okay? We're talking about a $35,000 or $38,000 check at the next LTO. That's only 2 cycles. Okay? What could happen in 4 cycles? Let's just show you. Let's show you what can happen. All right, so here's Jackson Hole. You go by yourself to Jackson Hole. That's a great thing. You've earned the trip to Jackson Hole. It'll be a blast. But you will make a vow to yourself that you will never go on another trip alone. You're going to have your team with you on the next trip. Okay? You'll make that promise to yourself. And so you do what I just showed you. You act like a leader, and you get these 4 people that are serious underneath your new executives so they can become Rubies at the end of April. Maybe the end of May, worst case, okay? Then they just maintain, and you're already all going on the trip.